The more we learn about the Texas school shooter, the more jarring the facts appear to be, including this. Revelations from friends and family members who describe the 18-year-old as a loner who kept to himself. The bone-chilling final messages he sent over social media moments before the massacre also popping. He was on an app with a friend in Germany who's 15, and what came out of that is chilling. Fox's Lawrence Jones has more from Uvalde. So let's focus now on the shooter and what we know. Lawrence.
That's right, Harris, because he is, in fact, the real villain here. He goes on social media and talks about how he's going to shoot his grandmother, and he did just that. And then he goes back on social media and says that he's going to head to the elementary school, and he did just that. When you talk to the shooter's mother, she says that she never known him to be violent. Many people have questions about that because they always classified him as a loner. The grandmother is still in critical condition, and many say that she has the missing pieces to the details of this event. Again, he went there to shoot her first, went on the chase, and then when he got to the school, had a crash, began to shoot at people at a funeral home, and then went into that school. The grandfather talks about the gun that he had, didn't know that he had a gun. It's important to note also here is that the grandfather is a felon, which means that if he had that gun in his house, that would be illegal. I'm going to send it back to you, Harris.
I want to get to this part. You mentioned the text messages. They were on a social networking app called Yubo, and I've been checking it out. It's a way to, quote unquote, make friends, refresh the friends you have. He said, I just shot my grandmother in the head. He told that to a 15-year-old friend in Germany that he had connected with on this app, another teenager. This is according to the New York Times. He said, quote, I'ma go shoot up an elementary school RN right now. So she had, through friends after the shooting, she realized how serious that was. She had her friend help contact U.S. authorities. And by the way, he had already told her on that app that he had purchased an AR-15 on his birthday, so days before. I'm not saying impugning the app. They've come out with a statement apologizing for what they did or didn't know and all of that, condolences. But they could know what they didn't know. And this gets more complicated by the moment. You said, who knows him best? Lawrence.
I would say that his family members knows him best. I find it very troubling that the mother said that he had no violent tendencies when everyone in the community classifies his loner tendencies and that he was violent as a young man. So the parents saying they knew nothing about it, I just don't buy that. Number two here is, I think when you talk to investigators and the sources that I'm talking to, they are really honing in on that gun purchase. If he was a dropout, did not have a job, how did he purchase the gun? Who helped him purchase the gun? That is one of the questions there. And also, did the grandfather know that he had the gun in the house? Because if he did, then the grandfather could be in legal troubles. Back to that messaging app. We know that it's 30 minutes between the time of him posting it and him acting. I think investigators really want to know what he was posting on the app before today's events, because if there was a pattern of behavior there, they would have liked to known about that as well, Harris.
Yeah, well, that's why when he talked about buying the gun on his birthday and had been talking to this teenager, what Yubu app is saying and what federal authorities are saying now, Lawrence, is that they can't reveal to us what's happening, but at least one account has been suspended. That was the quote. We'll move forward. Lawrence Jones, great to have you on the ground there reporting for us here on Outnumbered. Thank you.
Thank you, Harris.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.